The stock market's crazy first 5 months of 2025 have left Wall Street pros in a bit of a pickle here. The S&P 500 index has had a volatile start to 2025 with a strong May performance, but the index is still basically flat for the year and trailing global markets. The S&P 500 had its greatest May since 1990 and best month in over a year and a half. However, the benchmark is still essentially unchanged for 2025 and is having its worst start to a year since the 1950s. In an unusual turn of events, stock markets all across the globe are also crushing the Wall Street benchmark. The index fell to its lowest point since December 2023 in April. However, the S&P had since recovered and is now trading at about 4% below its all-time high. Business leaders, though, remain gloomy as they have since 2022, flaming uncertainties, including President Trump's trade battles, growth slowdown, geopolitical concerns, and the Federal Reserve's interest rate trajectory weigh on Wall Street stocks. The stock market is poised to embark on one of its most historically quiet months for gains. Further complicating issues, the S&P's return in June has been relatively stable over the last 30 years, and this means that we are likely to be in the same position in 30 days. The S&P 500 is currently trailing the MSCI All-Country World Index by almost 12 percentage points in 2025, and that marks the worst start to a year against its global peers since 1993 and its second worst ever. All right, for more on this, I'm now being joined by Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary of India. You're joining me live from New Delhi. Mr. Garg, thank you so much for making time for us right here on World Business Watch. How do you see Trump's tariffs play out in this month, in June, as the 90-day pause on April 2nd reciprocal tariffs comes to an end?
There's a very insidious game going on. It's not a tariff renegotiations business which is being done. And everyone has got involved now. The courts are getting involved. You have Trump tariffs being outlawed, then somebody reinstating that for some time. Trump coming back with another 50% kind of levy on steel and others coming from forth. And you see the results. The last month's American imports are down by 20%. Stock market, it's chaos. It's not negotiation. It's not a resettlement of the things going on. So, and I don't see this not continuing for some more time. Today is end of 2 months since he announced that. Another month goes, but what happens during this month or after that month? No one has negotiated any deal with that. I don't expect anyone to negotiate the deal with Americans. You can't actually do a business with such kind of volatility and chaos. So I see a period of intense uncertainties going ahead. The good thing only is that the American people are also, though, who are suffering, they are also realizing that this may be temporary, this may be next 1 year, maybe 2 years, and America will survive the Trump tariffs. It will not become great again, but it will not perhaps become a basket case either.
Won't become great again, but perhaps not a basket case. Mr. Garg, you put it aptly, but I also wanted to get your attention on this, the recent ruling that has come in from the courts in the US. What kind of bearing will that have on Trump's plans with these tariffs, which have only brought UK to the negotiating table so far?
You see, the UK deal which has been done is a very small, 2 or 3 items kind of. It's not a comprehensive deal which Trump was looking for. The respite provided by the appellate court is temporary. It is his tariffs were unconstitutional. There is no way sooner or later the American courts will have to outlaw it. And then what the Trump, since he is so much fixated on these tariff games kind of thing, he'll resort to other avenues available, like the steel side, the security tariffs and other kind of things. I don't know why he has not understood that this tariff game is not going to take him anywhere. But he's going to persist with this, and this madness may last for another 6 months, to my mind.
Mr. Garg, after a solid rally in May, how do you see stocks starting in June now that we're beginning with this month, which is historically, it's a very quiet month for markets?
See, India is stabilized. I think even tariff shock, which is coming from the US, people have figured out that this is the way it will continue. It doesn't have huge upside or the downside for us to, so to say. I don't think there would be a deal, but there are some triggers. The GDP numbers for fourth quarter came to be better. So there are some positive triggers, but there are also negative triggers, so to say. So my expectation is that the month of June would see only sideways movement, sometimes downside, sometimes up. I don't think it's going to go down very much or to go up very much either.
Mr. Garg, now you mentioned India, and I just want to take it further from there. In the India-US trade negotiations, which seemed to be on track, India was abiding by whatever Trump was perhaps expecting, and there were some middle ground which was being reached from both sides. But then Operation Sindoor saw differing accounts coming in from both sides, India maintaining that no talks of trade ever took place to bring Pakistan to make that call to the Indian DGMO and bring a halt to hostilities. What's your take on a possible trade deal between India and US at this point?
I think what Trump has been saying on and on, I think he has said this 15 times now, that he used the trade lever to bring the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. I don't think this would have pleased the Indian policymakers. My sense is the Prime Minister would be miffed by the conduct of Mr. Trump now. In any case, the deal between US and India is a very one-sided kind of deal. India wouldn't gain anything. And whatever concessions India offer might bring some deal. So I don't think it's worth it. So his conduct, his pronunciations, his pronouncements, my sense is, this is my, that neither should India do it, or nor is it likely that we will have a deal before July.
Mr. Garg, very quickly, I just want to get one more response from you before we wrap up this segment. Your take on Trump's recent comments targeting India, for example, his tariffs warning on Apple expanding production base in the country?
Oh, that's devastating. I mean, imagine a kind of situation where Apple is the only one big company which came to India in line with the earlier administration of Trump, that part of China plus one policy, that you should move away from China, settle and establish the production base somewhere else. And now the same administration is saying, don't produce in India. Come to what kind of policy certainty? I sympathize with Mr. Cook. He must be scratching his head and tearing his hair. What do you do with this kind of thing? I don't think he will change the course. Indian establishment of Apple now is fairly well grounded. It's doing well, though it has not made much difference to India and has benefited India very much. But that's a different matter. The production base of Apple in India is getting more and more solid. So I don't think that, I think that would continue. And he's not going to move it to the Americans, to America, as Mr. Trump is demanding from him.
Thank you so much for making time for us, sir. That was India's former Finance Secretary, Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, joining us here on World Business Watch. Always a pleasure speaking with you.